suppression, the use of marijuana.
You guys said that it was like an 11.5 hour difference. It's actually 10.5 right now because of daylight saving. Yeah.
So I said 11.5 because I had a coworker who spent 2 months in our office in a city that I don't remember.
Yeah.
But that was before daylight savings time. So
Yeah.
Damn.
No, that's entirely reasonable. I would forget all the time when I was there. So
Daylight savings is weird.
Daylight savings is so weird.
it is weird. Why do we still do that?
I don't know.
I don't know. And every
They-
year at daylight savings, like spring and fall, I see like,
They're voting to get rid of it.
daylight
Yeah.
savings
Yeah.
time, and then it never happens.
And then it like passes in one area and then fails in another, and then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, we're not doing it like we never do it every single year.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it makes sense anymore.
So let's see. We'll start. Okay. What do we just start with introduction?
I'm Ryan.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Tia.
And we have Paridi with us.
Paridi's our guest.
And we are the ADHD Queens plus Paridi.
Hello.
Woohoo!
You know what I was thinking about?
Tell me.
It's so funny that you were able to get the author's name right, but you guys still can't fucking say my name right.
What? Excuse me.
we
Excuse
tried, and then
me.
you were like,
You told
just
me
can't
not
do it.
to.
No,
You told
I
me
know,
not
I
to.
really did. I really did.
Excuse me.
What is happening? I didn't know it was different.
Yeah, because it's like, and I'm gonna do it wrong
You didn't know
because
it was different?
it's been doing it because it's been like many years since we met. But it's
Yeah.
like Buddy,
Oh.
right? Say it correctly, please.
Yeah, that's close. It's Buddy T.
One more time.
Wait, say it again.
Buddy T.
Buddy T.
It's a P still. See, that's I really do appreciate that. I think
I
No,
told
I
you
think
that
what
I
it
would
is
learn
is
it
that-
correctly like 3
Well,
years ago
hard-
when we met.
Jamie's way more stubborn than you think.
I know. You
So-
really did. I think I was just being with.
So it's like a T at the end instead of a D?
Like a harder
No,
D.
it's a D. Yeah, it's a duh sound, and it doesn't really exist in English.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would be unreasonable to expect you guys to be able to say that.
No.
Oh, as
I
she
would
gives us
have done
shit
it.
for it.
I
Okay.
absolutely would have done it, and I offered, and you said, I don't want that. And I said, okay, I will call you whatever you want me to call you.
No, that's true. You did say that.
Would you like us to
Yeah.
say your name correctly for this podcast?
No, that's all right. No, you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. When I was just like in the US, everyone said it right. And I was just so used to everyone saying it wrong all the fucking time.
And now everyone says it right. Yeah.
And I came back here. Yeah, no, everyone says it right. I don't even have to tell them how to spell it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I'm not used to that.
I will say
So,
I learned how
yeah.
to spell it like immediately.
Yeah.
I never spelled your name wrong.
I also have never spelled your name wrong. It just sort
That's
of
true.
seems phonetic. The way that you said it to
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
American folk.
Oh, I will say, I think of all the people that I met, all of you guys really put in the most effort.
Hell yeah.
Because we're cool.
Yeah.
And we're like, just generally speaking, the most considerate.
Oh,
Oh.
thank you. So we're gonna talk about the book. Okay.
Oh, yeah, the book.
So today we're gonna talk about Cobalt Blue by Sachin Kundalkar. And I did just pull up how Paridi texted me to say that. So that's why I said that correctly this time. So just a little overview of what the book was about. Honestly, this isn't going to be a very long overview because functionally, not a lot happens.
Yeah.
You know,
That's true, yeah.
basically, it's the story of this family takes in, a lodger, basically, into a room in their house, and both the son and the daughter separately and without knowing fall in love with him and have little affairs with him. So we begin with the brother, Tane.
Mhm.
So we begin with the brother Tane, and it's full on. There are no chapters in this book. It is part 1, Tane, and
Yeah,
part 2,
which was kind of
Anuja.
confusing.
Yeah. And it's written very
Oh my gosh, the typeface is huge.
yeah, it is.
They needed to make the book
The
seem
book
longer.
looked-
They
looked like it was
did.
longer.
It's not a very long book. It already is only like 230 pages, and
Really?
also it's
No,
227
yeah,
or
it's
228.
so short.
I
It
struggled.
is.
Okay.
It's yeah. Well, and I think that having read Uva right before this kind of helped my brain.
Oh, sure.
It reminded me both of Uva and another book I read. It was a Finnish book, like from Finland, not like I finished that book. It was a Finnish book called The Red Book of Farewells, and it was written like exactly like this.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Do you mean like the first part?
Yeah, like the first part where like, well, and there were chapters, so it's not exactly like it, but it was very like, disjointed. Like something would happen and it would make the narrator think of something else that happened and something else that happened. And I did find that one a little bit easier to follow, only because the narrator like knew she was doing that. She was like, sorry, let's just pop back in. And it was a little clearer when you were back to where you were. But this reminded me a lot
Right.
of Uva and also the Red Book of Farewells, where like you're just on for the ride.
Yeah.
So basically, as clear cut as I can be about the plot, Tane meets this guy. He's sort of like, oh, you're kind of interesting. Okay. They have a little flirty back and forth, and then they start having sex. And Tane has gone to like places where gay men secretly go for the sex. So he like kind of understands his own sexuality, and he's had sort of flings with people. But he becomes like enraptured with this guy and is like, wow, I'm obsessed with you. And he's so interested in like his thought processes. And they always go to this little bakery or restaurant down the street, like a breakfast Iranian restaurant. Was she Iranian?
Yeah.
Okay. And, they have this like very cute little thing happening. And then all of a sudden, the guy, whose name we never find out, disappears with his sister, Anuja. And then Anuja comes back 6 months later, alone and depressed.
As hell.
As hell. So that's like where we begin. We begin the story. Anuja has come back after all of this. We are just kind of going through leading up to this point very non-chronologically.
Yeah, he's almost like ruminating on the process.
Exactly.
He's trying to figure out what happened in his brain.
Yes.
And so he's like thinking like, oh, we did this thing, and then he vanished. And then he goes back again, and he's like, we did this other thing, and then he vanished, like trying to piece it together.
He'll see things that remind him of the guy, and then he thinks about this whole story. Like, there was a chair in the room that was basically theirs. It was the lodger's room, but
It was their room.
yeah. And, the Iranian couple who owned that restaurant were leaving. So he got a chair from their restaurant and was like, I'm going to put this in the room and he's going to have it when he gets back or whatever. And then he's never coming back.
Yeah.
And then there was like a tip jar or like a gumball bowl or something. I don't know.
I couldn't remember what the importance of that was.
Yeah. It was on the counter and he had complimented it before. So then Tane goes, he asks for that as well. And they're like, sure, whatever. You may have whatever you want. So he's doing all of these things to like give gifts to this room where he thinks this guy, he probably doesn't think the guy is coming back, but he hopes.
Where they fell in love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where they,
Or so he
where
thought.
they were together. That is kind of the whole thing with Tanae. Anuja, we go through hers, and she also sees him. She meets him. He is an artist at the school, question
Yeah,
mark?
he goes to school.
He goes to school there, and she poses nude for him and the people that
Not
she-
nude.
No.
Oh, not
no,
nude.
Yeah, she just sits to
She
them.
asks.
She
She asks like, "Do you want me to do this nude?"
Yeah, and
and
they're
they're
like,
like, "Nah, it's okay."
She poses for them,
Mhm.
and they paint her, and they kind of develop this. He teaches her guitar, and they kind of develop this relationship, a non-sexual relationship.
Yep.
And then he's like, "Bye, I'm leaving," and she's like, "Great, I'm going with you." And he's like, "Okay, whatever." So then, yeah, they go. They're somewhere else for 6 months, and he has a job. He's bringing in money. She doesn't at first, and she's just kind of hanging out, and getting bored. And he's getting kind of annoyed that she's not doing anything else and just kind of waiting on him. So then she gets a waitress job, and eventually he just leaves, just like he was gonna do at the house. He just kind of vanishes. And she doesn't literally have anywhere else to go. So she just has to go back to her parents' house. And she is in therapy because she is really messed up by this. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of, and then she's just kind of going back through. So I thought it was really, there's a quote in, I don't know if y'all read the translator's note at the end.
I did.
I'm just going to read this little section because I think it perfectly encapsulates what this entire book is about.
Yeah.
So he says, as readers, we expect narratives to fall into seemly timelines, but neither Tanae nor Anuja respect the sequential. Smitten, broken, rebuilt, they tell their stories as memories spill over, as thoughts surface. They move from the present to the past and back to the present without so much as an asterisk to help you adjust. Tanae says things again and again as if he wants to reassure himself, as if the repetition will fix what has happened in his memory. Once you get used to this, you realize that this is how we grieve, how we remember, in the present tense and in the past, all at once, because the imagined future must now be abandoned.
Yep.
And I feel like that is perfect. That is
Yeah.
exactly what it was reading this book, because it is. It is all about grief. Grief of this relationship. Sort of like the love is there in the grief. Like, I mean, because the book starts when they're both grieving.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of the funny things that I thought, like throughout this entire thing, nobody knows that Tanae has anything to do with this guy. Nobody knows that that's a thing.
Yeah.
So when Anuja leaves and he is like messed up because the guy and Anuja have left, everyone's like, wow, he cares so much for his
They think it's
sister.
because- yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There was a quote. There was a direct quote. Very funny. It's about the mom. The mom, she had always thought that her children didn't really have strong bonds, but she was pleased to see that he had been so deeply concerned. Was he? Was it his sister?
Yeah.
Or was it the man?
That's
I thought that was
so sad.
very silly. But that, I mean, even Anuja's like, damn, why'd he care so much? And then she comes back home and he's still really depressed. And everyone's like, oh, he should be happy now because Anuja's back. And it's like, well, maybe it wasn't Anuja.
Oh my god, and he was like so upset still with her. And I remember one of the things being like they went upstairs to the tower room as they call it, and he after they go back downstairs, he's like, "Oh, I wanted to like drag her up here and throw her off the roof."
Yeah.
I was like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
a bit much." No.
Yeah. It was really interesting that he is so passionate about his everything, about his anger, about his love, about his grief. He is just like no holds barred.
Yeah, but I feel like that was in private.
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
He had all those, but he was never openly like that.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
never expressed any
The
of that.
only thing that he was really open about was at the end when he moves away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was only open to Anuja
Yeah.
because he's like, I'm not doing that shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. I ain't around.
That was the only
Bye.
thing that he was ever like
Vocal
about
Yeah.
his feelings.
Yep.
And then Anuja was the opposite and was just
Yes.
like constantly letting everyone know.
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
is fair. Like, be heartbroken, be depressed,
Yeah.
whatever. Completely reasonable. But I don't know. I was mad at her after reading Tanae's whole
I wasn't
thing.
really ever mad
See,
at her. I was just annoyed
Mostly
by
both
her.
characters. Yeah, both characters were kind of annoying, I will say.
And I think that's fair because I thought it was really interesting that, like, this guy seems mid. You know,
Yeah.
he doesn't seem like
Yeah,
necessarily.
oh my god, that's exactly what I was going to say.
He can't understand financial.
He doesn't.
Basic financial statements.
He can't. Yeah. Don't cry over
But
men
you
who
know,
can't read
it's
basic financial
that's
statements.
so true, though. You know, like when you look at your friends' lives, and you're like, they're always falling for these like mid people.
Yes,
And you're
exactly.
like, how is this happening? How are you so? That's how this felt. That's why this was like so annoying that they were like grieving so much for this like dickhead, basically.
We just
Yeah.
spend the entire time. We don't even know why they love him either, which I thought was an interesting choice
Sure.
from like the author. He's giving us their love and their feelings, but not really the steps that got us there. It's just unless he really has no personality traits and he's just like a man that was around.
Yeah.
But you know, like with the passion that they both have, theoretically there's like something.
Well, I think the thing that I was thinking on my way here was he's mysterious because
It's
he
true.
never talks about his past.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk about where
Everyone
he
falls
comes
in love with
from.
a
All he
mysterious
says,
You're true.
stranger.
yeah, all he says is like, "Oh, my parents died in an airplane crash,"
Yeah. So he's like
and
this
but he
hostile
doesn't.
living.
Yeah, but he never talks about like where he's from specifically. He just says, "I'm from wherever I am right now,"
Yeah.
and
I was like, that's stupid.
So we don't even know if he's like telling the truth.
No,
yeah, exactly. And so on my way here, I was like I was thinking more specifically about Anuja because hers felt like she was more infatuated.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
you're just like falling for this man who you just like you want him to be who you think he is, but you don't even know who he is.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And-
it's all fake. You like your feelings are based on nothing,
God, that's why.
which
okay.
also is like relatable.
That's
Oh,
why
absolutely.
that's why I was so frustrated with her, was because I didn't feel like it was real, and
Absolutely.
she had a perfectly good person who actually adored her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And she was just like, eh. And then on the other side is
Yeah, like-
Tanae never really got any of that because his relationships can't be public. He
Yeah.
has to be
Mhm.
behind the
Yeah.
scenes. He has to hide all of it. It's always physical because that's just they're in that craving mode because they can't
All they're able to, yeah.
be able to do anything else. And I'm just like, but this time he actually got to spend time with him. He got to actually be around and go do things, meet people, volunteer.
Oh yeah.
Whatever
They
did.
went to little like gay meetings.
Yes.
Secret
Yeah.
gay meetings.
Very gay things.
They had those two friends.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
other gay couple,
Samuel
Samuel and
Ashish.
yes.
I wrote down names and I still don't remember them. But yeah. So that's why I was frustrated with her because I felt like he had so much opportunity to genuinely build something with this person. And then it was just gone.
Yeah.
So like his grieving made so much more sense to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It did.
But-
And yeah.
Also, I've probably been Anuja at one point. So like maybe that's why I'm pissed. I'm like, grow up.
Younger Tia, you should have known better.
Yeah, they're both relatable. It's
It's
just
well, and I think that's an interesting thing too, to look at both sides of that grief of like, this is the same guy and they both had such different relationships with them.
Yeah.
And their grieving looks so different. It's just, I really did enjoy reading it. I thought it was so fascinating. And also, like, I'm going to get up on my little soapbox. People do not understand nuance anymore. They don't teach that in schools anymore. Back in my day, they did. Well, Did they?
No.
But you know,
We
like,
just have
No,
brains
not
and can
really.
yeah,
understand
that's
nuance.
fair. I just read a lot of books
Comprehension?
when I was a
What?
kid, so I just kind of
Crazy.
learned that. But you know, like, I think it's, you know, somebody who's just reading black and white here would read it and be like, wow, nothing happened. It's like, no, nothing did happen, but it was such an interesting exercise in grief
Yeah.
and love, and specifically living where he's living, being who he is,
Yeah.
you know. And that is just, I thought it was really interesting.
I'll tell you what it reminded me of.
Tell me, Ryan.
Go for it.
The Bee Movie. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No,
Oh my God.
I knew that would make everyone laugh because we talk about the Bee Movie kind of a lot outside of the podcast.
So stupid.
No, Lady Bird.
I've never
I
seen
still haven't
Lady
seen it.
Bird.
Okay,
Is it a book though?
no.
Oh no, it's
Uh,
actually just okay.
Paridi, have you seen Lady Bird?
I have definitely not. What is it?
Okay, so it's the Greta Gerwig movie starring Saoirse Ronan, and she's just a high school senior who fights with her mom and is trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life, and she hates everything and nothing goes right for her. But like, it's a story like this where nothing happens, but like, so this is like a grief exercise, and Lady Bird is more of a like finding who you are.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very similar in like the structure and like the drama of it.
Mhm.
Like, I want to throw my sister off the roof, and in Lady
Right.
Bird, she's arguing with her mom, and she just opens the car door and jumps out of the moving car.
Oh, I've seen that scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have also seen that scene.
So it felt very similar to that sort of like exploring things without being so like clear cut about what we're exploring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
That's fair.
no, not the Bee Movie. though.
What do you mean? That's a very
Honestly,
deep show.
I feel like Danae's story was so unbelievably relatable. Because okay, I don't know if you guys know anything about the dating culture for Indian kids,
No.
No.
like when we're really young in high school and such. So most kids are like really not allowed to date,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there's just so much hiding and lying from your parents, and that's what that felt like.
Yeah,
Mm.
definitely.
It just felt like, oh, that's how you had to like grieve. Like, oh, when you went through like a breakup or something, you can just like cry in front of people because they would ask you what was wrong, and then you couldn't tell them it was because you were going through a breakup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his story was just like, oh my God, that's yes. When I first started reading it, it was so annoying that he kept saying like stuff over and over again. Like to the point where the first couple of pages I had to go back and be like, oh, did I read that right? Did I accidentally go back a page? Because I was reading it on a Kindle. And then at the end when I read the translator's note, I was like, oh my God, that just makes so sense. Yeah, that is how you grieve.
Yeah.
It's just that
Yeah, when I was listening
yeah,
to it on audiobook and I heard him say the same thing over again, I was like, "Oh, did my
Did it
did
skip?
it
Yeah.
glitch? Did it skip backwards? Like
Yeah.
what happened?" And then I looked and I was like, "Well, it didn't skip back." And then he did it again, and then I was like, it clicked immediately to me that it was like, "Oh, he's like ruminating.
Yeah.
He's thinking
Mhm.
like he's in a spiral that ends up back in the same place, and then he moves on to the next one, and then
Yeah.
he makes a big loop-de-loop."
Well, and you know, back to what you were saying, Paridi, like if you can't talk about it
Mhm.
and you have to hide it, like the only person you can talk to about it is yourself.
Yeah.
So you were just gonna sit in those feelings for a while,
Mhm.
and you were just gonna say the same thing because you can't say it out loud. So you
Yeah.
just gotta repeat it.
I found it interesting because
Yeah.
so I would, when I was younger, I would be like Tanae. I would constantly be stuck in my head with thoughts just spiraling like
Mhm.
that. And then Anuja gets it out by journaling, and that's how
Mhm.
she's able
Yeah.
to heal kind of quickly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For a lot of different reasons. But in order for me to get my thoughts to stop, I had to physically write them out, and then it would remove them, and I'd be like, oh, I thought that, so I'm done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like,
there's
oh.
a line that says like you if the feelings are too much, you can skip them, but the ones that aren't too much, write them down and then throw them away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is what the psychiatrist tells her. And I was like, what an interesting like way to go about that, because like I don't know. I don't go to therapy even though I probably should.
Therapy is great. Everyone should go to therapy if they
Everyone
I
can.
should go to
I do think
therapy.
that everyone should go to therapy, but I just don't. Um,
Don't listen to Ryan.
I'm
Go to
immune.
therapy.
um, no, I am not excluded from that. I just don't go to therapy.
Fair enough.
But
That's fair.
it was so interesting that the psychiatrist was telling her like throw them away, like get them out and throw them away, because like I am a very sentimental person, so like memories and like even physical things, like I don't like to get rid of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could not do what Anucha's doing, because like I just want to hold on to that, like as our Lord and Savior Taylor Swift says,
Of course.
hold on to the memories, they will hold on to you. And so yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was such an interesting exercise for her, and it worked for her. So like,
Yeah.
I guess. But anyway,
I have a question for everyone.
What's up?
Well, I have a couple, but the first one is, did you guys know that this book was translated from like Marathi to like English?
Yes, based on the fact that it says that on the front of my book.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't see that.
Oh.
Oh,
okay.
did you read it in English then?
And no, I didn't read it in English. Yeah. No, of course. I don't know Marathi.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
I don't know. I don't know what languages you speak.
No, I only speak English and Hindi.
Okay, fair enough.
so I knew that it was translated because the movie version on Netflix is in Hindi.
Oh, interesting.
So I didn't know what language it was translated from, but I did know that it was translated.
Did you watch the movie?
I did not.
Okay, I almost watched the movie. And
I
then
almost
had
did too, but
zero time.
yeah,
Well,
exactly.
wait, are you sure?
Yeah.
That's
I
what
started watching the movie and it wasn't all in English.
Well, on Netflix, it popped up for me because I was about to start it and then I realized I had zero time. It popped up for me and asked if I wanted it in English or
the original. Yeah.
and subtitled.
Yeah, so you can listen to it dubbed or subbed.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look at that because I never enjoy like translated stuff. That's why. So a couple pages into the book, I was like, "What is the matter with this book? There's something off about it, and I can't put my finger on it."
No dubs.
And then
Never.
yeah, and that's when I realized, oh, it's like translated, and then I read like the translator's note, and I was like, okay, I see. I don't think he did the best job.
Oh,
I wondered. There was a few things
Is that
like
just me?
that were just weird. The thing that stood out to me with the translation is it wasn't consistent over phrases. So like the one that like really stood out was the mysterious man in the tower room. He would say like, "Oh, we'll see." Like Tanae would ask him like, "Oh, can we do this?" And he would reply, "We'll see." But then in the translation, it switched from saying "we'll see" to "let's see."
yeah.
And
Let's see. Yeah.
so like I was like, I wonder if that was just like
It was supposed to be the same.
If it was
like
supposed to
originally
see-
it was the
yeah.
same and he's translating it differently for some reason.
yeah, or if it was just like he translated it to "let's see" and but then like the one was "we'll see" and it didn't get caught in
Yeah.
editing or something.
Yeah.
But that's what I noticed that, and so I wondered how accurate the rest of it was.
Sure.
Yeah, also I think there was like this I think he meant to said already and he said already and that bothered me.
Mm.
I was like,
I
how
think I
did that
did
not
notice
get
that
caught?
one. I think I saw that and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I think it's like towards the end. towards the end of the book, I think she's saying, "Oh, I knew that they would have their questions already,"
Mm.
and instead of that, it just says already.
Yeah.
ALR.
Right.
Oh,
Right. Instead of, yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw that and I had to reread
Yeah.
that and I was like, okay.
Yeah, me too. I was like, oh, that's just an error then.
My biggest issue was when listening, aside from the fact that I couldn't keep my brain focused at all because he was doing things that I do with my brain, was when they would say I, referring to mom,
Yeah.
and then they would say the next sentence would be, I did this. And I was like, so did I do this?
Or did I do this?
Yeah.
And I was like, I was not able to like pick up on any sort of differentiation in tone or anything. So I had to go and read it
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
was like, this makes no
There's
sense.
Who
one.
did you like? Who was the narrator?
Some dude.
His name
You have
is...
Audible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Did you guys? Is that the one you listened to? Because I tried to. I even got a subscription to Audible, and then I listened to that, and I I really didn't like the narrator,
Oh, sure.
and I thought it was like a little bit of a pace issue, which could be fixed with the speed thing. I just didn't like, so I ended up just reading the book.
It says narrated by Anuj Datta.
Okay, yeah, it may have been the same person. Also, the I thing, it's supposed to be I.
I.
It's I and Baba.
That would have made it a lot
Yeah.
more easy to understand.
Yeah. There was one sentence that was literally I and I.
Oh,
And
no.
I was like, oh God, that's... But I did pick up on the subtlety of the I
Mm,
in Anusha's part. I didn't... It took me like that long to
like
pick
figure.
up that there is a little bit of a pronunciation difference, but I did pick up on it later.
Yeah, I was telling Jamie earlier that I actually started listening to it, couldn't for the life of me pay attention to it. And then she brought me her copy so I could physically read it. And then I would stop reading it and listen to it and then read it. And so I actually listened to this and read it twice because I was just like, I don't know. I couldn't get past Tanae's part, but I wanted to because I was interested in just like his whole secret world.
Yeah.
But I couldn't just for the life of me at all. His brain was going too
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I had to write stuff down. So I was like, okay, is this actually important or is this actually important?
Yeah.
No, none of it was that important. But it was still like, okay, these created him. And then she came through and I was like, you're so much like more direct and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, and I thought the journal
Yeah.
entry format suited it.
Yeah.
Because there was a date,
mhm.
and then it would more plainly say like, then I thought of
yeah.
this thing that
Mhm,
happened,
mhm.
whereas for Tanae, it was more just like
Yeah.
all garbled together.
I think it definitely compensated for a lack of chapters
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
a little
Absolutely.
bit, but I understand why the author did that. It really did highlight the sort of difference between the way they were sort of processing this grief and how different they are as people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also thought it was such an interesting move to stop putting the dates, like when she did.
Yeah.
Like I even like noted when that happened in my notes. I was like, oh, interesting.
I did not notice that.
Well,
all.
that's fair because I was like physically reading it, so
Yeah.
you can like see the notes. You know, you can see, and that kind of was helping me kind of timeline it. Okay, well, when was this happening? And then when it stopped, I was like, oh, that is a change in her. Okay, interesting. I like that. Yeah, I've noticed in the past few years, I have a really hard time physically reading fiction, and I have a really hard time listening to nonfiction. So
Yeah.
all of the books that I physically read are nonfiction, and all of the books that I listen to are fiction. But I think that this one I would not have been able to listen to.
Yeah.
Because like one of the reasons that I have a hard time like physically reading fiction is like a lot of it is just like the descriptions of, you know, setting, you know,
Mhm.
and the descriptions of all of this stuff. My brain, when I'm reading it, and I know that that's probably not super necessary information, my brain wanders.
Yeah.
And what I need is just what's on the page to be clear cut, what I need to be reading right now. And this kind of did help, even though it's kind of silly because this is kind of like, you know, airy, going wherever.
Mhm.
I'm making a lot of hand gestures right now.
Hand
Um,
gestures.
But all of it is relevant because it's just like in their brain, and that is exactly what they're feeling in that moment. And yeah, it's more like feelings rather than,
Mhm.
you know.
Their brain is wandering, so your brain
So
doesn't
my
have
brain
to,
yeah,
it doesn't
my
wander
brain
away from it. It wanders
with it.
them.
And that's exactly how I felt with the Red Book of Farewells too, where it's like, and that one technically was also fiction, but I was like, I can do this, and also not a super long book. If this was like 400 pages, could not have done that. But this was, you know, concise as much as it can be.
Mhm.
You know, I felt like I could really, and in both of them, even though they are sort of like different ways of doing it in the beginning and in the end, I was like, no, I can follow both of these things. Yeah, it took me like, I read it in like 2 days. It was like a couple hours each day, and then I was like, okay,
I did
done.
it.
Tia, do you want this book?
I did like that they both just kind of ended, but I did like that we got to see Tanae continue to like process.
Mhm.
his
Yeah,
grief.
yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense the way that was handled.
Mhm.
Just because it seems like he needed a little bit longer to handle it. And also there's some kind of relief of like his sister coming back, also brokenhearted, I feel.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Because then he's like, oh, well, at least you're not with him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
At least like you're not happy. He ran away with you and is happy now forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead,
Like,
he's
haha,
just
he
kind of
broke both of our hearts, you
Yep.
bitch.
jerk.
Yeah.
Uh,
Maybe I don't have
Also,
to throw you
I
out the
don't
tower.
think
You don't
he
think
was
what?
the kind of guy anyone could be happy with forever.
Yeah.
No,
Really.
absolutely not. That is not his vibe at all.
Oh God, he like extremely reminded me of people I've dated in the past.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
Hey, I have a question. How old are these people?
Mhm.
She's 20 something.
Because like they mentioned
her early
college, but like I
20s.
know that in some places college is just like high school and then university is college.
Oh.
But so I was like I couldn't figure out how old they are. And
It gives us Anuja's exact age, but God, can I not remember where that is? Or she's in her early 20s, I think.
I actually don't remember
I think
those.
like
Is she?
23. I remember hearing the number 23,
Could be.
but I don't know. That could be
I just know
wrong.
she's the youngest of the three.
That makes me feel a little better because like I was also comparing this in my head to Call Me by Your Name because he's like a guest in their house and
Oh, gotcha.
kind of they fall in love sort of accidentally. And in Call Me by Your Name, the younger one is in his teens, I believe, and the other man is like 24. And I was like, how old are these people?
Yeah.
And they're all like, I know that the culture difference, like we don't live with our parents as
For as long.
I couldn't piece it together in my head, but if he's older than her and she's like 23-ish, then that makes sense.
I don't think she is 23 because if both of them are college students, here college students like graduate when they're like 21.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
College is like 3 years. And then I know towards the end they were talking about her MSc, which is like her master's in
Yeah.
science or whatever.
But and she also
So
also
she
dropped
must be
out
like,
before
She did drop out.
oh, right.
because she took a
Yeah,
year
that's true.
off or something. It said like she had to wait a year
Okay,
before
cool.
she
Then
could
she
go
might
back.
be.
Okay.
Yeah, she's around that.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
22 years
Oh, okay,
old.
so they're like
22 years
older
old?
than I was
In
thinking
the film,
my head.
anyway.
Oh.
I was thinking more like 19 and 23 type of age range.
Okay.
I mean, she
Rage
does
age.
give off a young
Young,
mindset,
yes.
so that would not be shocking to me.
Mm-hmm.
The author of the book did write and direct the movie.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
That's
Yes,
cool.
I think I did read that.
Oh,
Maybe someday I'll watch it.
So it would
but
make sense if she's 22 in the movie that she'd
I'm so
be
busy
22 in
all
the
the
book.
time.
According to Wikipedia, the author started writing this at 20 and finished at 22. So they're most likely
Yeah,
within
they're
that
probably
age
in that
range.
age.
Same age.
And
yeah.
he said he started writing
Okay.
it because he had nothing else to do.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, but also can't relate. I have so much
I have
stuff
so
to
much.
do.
I'm so tired all the time. I feel like I say that every single podcast episode, but I am so tired all the time, you guys. Not just because I have MS, but also because
But the
I'm so busy every freaking day of my life. Sana has been trying to get me to literally just step into her apartment for a full calendar year. And I'm like, no, but yes, but also
Remember how you finally visited my apartment when I was like literally leaving?
yes, yes. I am even busier now.
Gotta leave a trail of grapes.
I
Hey.
would follow that. I freaking love grapes, you guys.
Word. Hey, Paridi, remember when you moved away from the country and didn't tell me?
Oh, I knew.
I found out from Tia and Jamie.
Oh no. She had a lot going on, Ryan.
That's fair. You did have a lot
She had a
going on.
lot going on.
I'm really sorry.
No, it's okay.
Wow.
Call it even that
Oh,
we've never pronounced your name right.
I'm not gonna lie, it's not even that I didn't want to tell you, but also we hadn't talked in a while, and I thought you just didn't want anything to do with me.
No!
Remember, she's
And
a
that's
sensitive.
entirely okay.
She's a sensitive baby.
She's a very
We all-
sensitive little Gemini.
We've all been there.
You know, I was
I
like,
love
that's cool,
you.
you know. He's busy doing things. That's okay.
Oh my god.
I was busy doing things, but no, I love you and I do miss you. And
I know.
Oh, I miss you guys too. You were my first gays.
Oh, you're welcome.
You know, I just had never found. I think that's why I enjoyed working at Starbucks so much, because it was just like everyone was gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is great,
Yeah.
yeah, that
and
Starbucks
I just
did
hadn't
have-
found my people.
Yeah.
So many queers. It was great. Actually, and then more people kept coming
was
in, and I was
really
like,
great.
"Are you guys okay? Yeah, you all are checking the vibes.
Also
All
gay?
right." Yeah, I was like,
at Eric.
Not Eric, I know.
I
except
feel like there were only a handful of people that were straight.
Eric.
Yeah.
You know who
I
still
can't
has my freaking copy of
Well,
Pride and
him.
Prejudice? It's
Eric.
Eric.
Yeah.
I know.
If we just keep calling him
Who
out
still
on
has
our
your what?
podcast, someday you'll hear
I
it.
let Eric from Starbucks borrow my copy of Pride and Prejudice, and that was 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I still
He
don't
was
have it.
read that.
He was supposed to
was
because
supposed
we
to.
were pressuring him.
No, I mean, I didn't make
I
him. He was like,
pressured him.
yeah, I'd read it if I had it. And so I brought him a copy. And to be fair, it was my shittiest copy because I didn't know if I was going to get it back. But then that means that that I don't have that copy, which matches another set. I do have 10 copies of Pride and Prejudice. So it's not like I'm out
Yes.
Pride and Prejudice, but
course.
I do now have to go buy the Barnes & Noble Classics version of Pride and Prejudice again, which is $5.95. So
Or-
it's not a problem.
Or we shame him publicly on our podcast
Okay.
until he gives it
He
back.
is not listening to this podcast.
This is not targeted towards him.
No, I
Eric,
don't
if
think-
somehow you're listening to this podcast, number one, what's up, man? Number two, give me back my freaking book. Do we have more to say about this book?
Oh, the mom said like blood's thicker than water,
I
and you
wrote
can
that
tell
down.
that is true because Tane is so sad that Anuja was gone.
Yeah, of course.
And then
is
I highlighted
hilarious.
that in the book, and I was like, LOL, that's
Yeah.
not what's going
Mom.
on.
And
so
also,
obvious.
that's not even the quote.
Yes.
The blood
The
of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So-
that doesn't even mean what you think it means, Mom. I wrote down a quote. This is the man talking to Anuja. Sounds like a suitable job for you. You like pigeonholing people, classifying them, and governing them accordingly. You'll do exactly that with your animals. And I said, girlie, why do you think this is a good relationship for you?
Yeah.
This is deal breaker territory.
Yeah.
Like if anybody ever said that about me, dump his ass.
Oh, and then she was like, "Oh, I thought he was joking," and then I looked at his face and I was like, "Well, then that should have been a
Number
sign."
one, he doesn't sound like he's joking. And number two, get out of there.
Yeah, it was a
Do
little
not.
too targeted to be a joke.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I feel like one of the other moments like that was when the whole like we'll see thing.
Yeah, like
But
I stormed down the
usually-
stairs.
and then there's
He
like a
comes after me.
5 point.
Yep.
And then he just doesn't even
Oh,
try.
that's so sad.
I know.
Oh, I guess it's called. We didn't talk about why it's called Cobalt Blue, but it's not super relevant, really. But
I wrote down, oh, we got her Cobalt Blue.
yes,
Yeah.
Because it was.
he says it like 3 or 4 times, and then
Tanae
she
says it a few times, and she just has it the once. Hers was, I thought of his dateless diary, the book in which he trapped memory. It was a beautiful book. I think he had covered it himself with some cobalt blue khadi cloth that he had bought.
Yeah.
So it's like his journal
Yeah.
was cobalt blue.
And then the cobalt blue that I remember for Tanae specifically is when he paints it on
Yes.
the canvas as like a stripe.
It's just like one strike of
Yeah.
blue.
So it's just sort of like colors that this man sort of like lots of things he has are this color.
Yeah.
So it just sort of kind of represents his mark.
Yeah.
And then, doesn't Anuja end with her diving into blue water?
Yeah.
But it doesn't say cobalt
It's not
blue.
cobalt blue.
It says
yeah,
says
but it's like it's a different.
Yeah,
it's
but I
like,
thought that was like you
she's
know.
rinsing his
like
blue
yeah, like
away.
his blue is gone. She's going into a new blue. Is sort of how I read that.
And yeah, because it says there they like spray down his room.
Yeah, they
And-
destroy everything he ever
Yes,
had.
and
in
the
there.
blue is like
And the blue water, it says like the blue water runs down the stairs, and
Yeah.
then she jumps into the blue
Yeah,
pool.
the deep blue water.
Yeah.
So like, yes, it's like a similar color, but it is no longer cobalt blue because we are washing
Yeah.
ourselves of that man.
They're like starting to connect blue without thinking of him.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them.
Yeah.
No one wants triggers.
Yeah.
so. You guys have read like a lot of books from different countries. What is it like to sort of like go through like unique words come up that are just like in Hindi or Marathi in this book? Do you guys look him up?
Yeah.
So I will look it up if I can't figure out the context. I like trying to just see if I
Okay.
can go and like figure out contextually what it means.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I
Mhm.
do. I had to look up the words for aunt and uncle because I was pretty sure that's what that was.
Yeah.
But at first, when they said it,
Yeah.
it looked like it was a first name, last name situation. And then it said it with like a different name. And then I was like, okay, that's
They're
not the
not
word that I was
all
thinking.
named
And I
this.
was kind of figuring out that that was uncle and aunt, but I just had to verify. Most of the words I could kind of figure out contextually.
Yeah. The things that are like mostly food or like items of clothing, I usually don't look those up unless I'm interested in seeing what it looks like.
If it's like pertinent,
Yeah.
I did look up. There was like a specific outfit that the mom was wearing at some point
Yes.
that like it sort of seemed like important that she was wearing certain things. So I
Yes.
looked up the whole outfit.
And,
but
and at the end, it's when they're going to a wedding or
Mhm.
something.
Yeah.
and-
Kelvin.
yeah,
yeah.
I looked that one up too.
And then she said the mom tells Anuja, you should wear a sari, but if you're not going to wear a sari, you should wear a Punjabi suit.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and so I did look up
Which I
Punjabi
thought that
suit.
was so random.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I think I'm the only one that always looks things up.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I need visuals. So I write it down
no, that's
and then look things up. Even
That
if,
is extremely valid of you.
like food, I just need to know what does it look like. Because
Yeah.
I might want to eat it.
that's how I feel because a lot of this stuff was like Marathi, and I just don't know everything. So I felt the very strong urge to just like look up everything.
I also looked
Most
up
things I just knew.
what Marathi was in comparison, and I learned it's the number 3
Mhm.
language for India. So it goes Hindi, Bengali, and then Marathi. And I
Gotcha.
was like, oh, cool. Okay. From natives.
Oh, another thing. I thought it was really neat that her parents were psychiatrists because it's like set in the 90s. Isn't that I thought that was nice.
I wondered, like, wow, it seems like this is pretty open
Yeah.
of you.
Hey,
Mhm.
it's not set in the 90s because
Really?
they mention September 11th.
Oh, they do. It's in the early 2000s,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
still.
But still.
But still. Yeah, they mentioned the Iranian owner, their nephew has issues in the United States.
Yes.
after
Yeah,
September
because of
11th.
9/11.
Yeah.
So, yeah, still early 2000s, though. Yeah, it's
And
about the same time.
and like
It's-
parts of it might be 90s because I don't know how long he stayed with them.
We are not really given a whole lot of time frame.
I thought like the end bit where Anuja started talking about, her like living alone and everything that she has to do now. I thought that was so relatable. And like it wasn't exactly like that for me, but it did feel like I was like, oh, you have to do everything yourself. You have to like manage money and do all of these things. And I was like, damn, that was incredibly relatable.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you realized that insurance was a scam?
Yeah.
Because I remember you coming up to us and being like, what?
Yeah. Insurance is absolutely a scam.
And I was like, yeah, welcome
Yep.
to America.
Welcome to America.
So stupid.
Yeah.
It's like an electoral college.
Yep. Such is that American
Oh.
life.
Did we
sucks
ever
more.
say why Paridi is our guest on this episode?
Because she's cool.
Also,
ask
she's from
questions.
India.
From India. Yes.
Don't ask us questions.
That is true.
That's fair. We really didn't introduce you. We just said, this is the ADHD Queens and Paridi.
Yes. Yeah.
Paridi worked with us at the Starbucks.
If you didn't catch that from
Yeah.
all the Starbucks talking.
Yeah, from when we worked at the Starbucks all together, and we love her.
Yes.
And she is my child.
Yeah.
We-
Yep. She's from India
my goodness,
and
thank
she
you.
attended the university here in Lincoln.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how we all met each other.
Yeah.
It's very
At
very
the
fun time.
Starbies. And
And
day
then
one.
day I just randomly up and left.
Well,
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the
That's all right.
man.
like the
You're
man.
our Cobalt Blue.
I'm like the man.
Oh, no.
How does it feel to be compared to
Oh.
a man, Paridi?
Such a man, too.
It's kind of disgusting. Yeah.
Okay,
You're
so
nothing
a
like him.
bear or a man?
Yeah.
Just choose. So, the next book.
The next book. Yes, Ryan, please introduce the next book.
Okay. The episode will come out on June 25th.
Yep.
Okay, so the next book that we're going to be reading is called Why I Killed My Best Friend by Amanda Michaelopoulou.
It is for
Here.
Greece.
It is for Greece, yes.
And
What was it called?
will officially be the first book that we have read that will actually get me to mark off my own personal reading map. Because I don't have one for Greece yet.
Hell yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty cool.
I'm very excited. I actually just last night updated my own personal reading map with the last 6 countries that I needed to add.
Okay.
Any final thoughts?
It was a pretty alright book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought so.
Thank you for
Next
having
time.
me.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Well, we did it.
Yay.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Yay.
Bye.
The suppression, the use of marijuana.
This podcast was brought to you in part by KCUN
Yeah, we could say that.
Please tell me you recorded that.
89.3 FM KCUN.
Perfect.